My name is Katherine Savage, and I'm a death midwife. I became a midwife to revive a culture where death reconnects us, drawing us together in shared loss, resilience, and community. I live on the ancestral and unceded land of the Cherokee people. My story begins with a prayer I once made for how I might more consciously align my life cycle with the Earth's. That prayer became a vision, and then a flax seed. The flax seed became a death shroud, and the shroud became an offering back to my community and to the Earth. On January 1st, 7 years ago, I was on a trail, and these words dropped into my thoughts. You will spend the year contemplating your dead self. And I knew I had been spoken to because these words were not the continuation of a thought I'd just been having. But of course, who has that for a New Year's resolution? It was shocking to hear. I had no idea what it meant or what I was to do with them. Death began making a strong appearance on my wanders, which gave me the opportunity to take up the question of what it means to die and explore it from different thresholds. I could see how things were always being created and dissolving back into the earth, and I practiced contextualizing my human journey within those cycles. To help me imagine what my choice was going to be, I gathered a group of women, and we called ourselves the Winding Women after the word winding sheet, which is another term for a shroud. I started this group because I still had some discomfort myself about what I wanted to see happen to my body. I knew it would not be cremation because of the environmental consequences. But I felt a little squeamish about being under the earth. And the process that we used as a group to talk about what the available options were and what we wanted for ourselves was to go through that with our values. And one that is really close to my heart is growing food, having my hands on the process of growing the food that I eat. When I realized that, then the vision came of, I could grow a shroud from seeds that I plant, and by intentionally at each stage of the flax plant's process and then of making it into a shroud, I could include myself in it, my life cycle in it. That's when the full vision rolled out, and I contacted Melanie.
You know, you get an email like that, and I'm just the crazy person that says, that sounds like fun. And I have always just been really interested in how cloth tells stories, and really interested in how cloth is something that's with us from birth to death. And it just kind of coincided very synchronistically to a lot of things that I had going on in my life at the time and things that, I wanted answers to. And then I figured we could get students involved. And because we agreed to do this before the pandemic, the lockdown happened, our intention was getting community involved all along.
But it began initially with Melanie and I looking at the pandemic and going, wow, what should we do? Should we wait for another year? And then we thought, heck no.
And Katherine solely planted the seeds by herself and came out and visited the flax growing in the fields of Warren Wilson College secretively the whole entire summer.
I came down every few weeks to visit the Shroud growing in the field, the flax growing, and to sit in it and begin to imagine myself in the Shroud itself.
The two of us versus a team of 20, as we had initially had hoped. We harvested all of this flax, and then all of the processing became a community event. Then it became a project that students were working on throughout their semester. It was the first semester back from COVID, and a lot of people were just feeling deep world grief. And so I was able to use this project and them working on the processing and the retting and the breaking and the hackling and the spinning and the weaving as part of talking about grief.
It took about a year of a lot of work, a lot of which Melanie did. And then I went home with the Shroud. Each morning, I'd wake up to the Shroud draped over my banister, reminding me that I do not get to stay.
Katherine was asking me how to decorate this Shroud, and we talked about different animals that had been visiting you and plants that had been speaking, but just choosing one of them never felt quite right.
Something in me knew that she knew it, that it would come from her.
And I kept saying, I don't know, it's your Shroud, should be your call. But then I woke up at 6:30 in the morning from a very vivid dream of walking into a hallway where the Shroud was draped over all of these long tables, and it was in the dream it was 10 times this long. But there was a lot of light in the room, and there were a lot of hands and animals and plants being sewn by human hands and embroidery floss. So I called her at about 7 in the morning when I woke up from that, and she knew that I was calling to tell her a dream. She said, "Oh, you had a dream."
It made perfect sense to me that the dream would be given to her. She is a person who is deeply connected with spirit. But it also speaks to the community aspect of it. It was given to someone who is in my circle of loves for us, not for me, but for us, to come together as a community and finish the Shroud.
I'm just amazed by how many people have rallied around Katherine and how many lives she's touched in a way that everybody would say, of course I'll embroider something on your death shroud. And this is repeatable. You're bringing a cultural ritual alive that any of us could do, and it makes it weaves the community tighter around a person, which is so needed.
I think this whole project, from the synchronicities of dreams and ideas and sharing, it just is a project of being. While there's labor that's had to happen to make this come together, it's just a project that wanted to be told. It wanted to happen.
Our culture will do its very best to keep you from paying attention to death. In truth, there is no life without it. I believe there's power in returning myself to the earth in a cloth that can tell the story of our intimate relationship with the planetary cycles of birth and death. When my shroud is ready to wrap around me, I want to wear it like a prayer shawl. Long after the shroud and I return ourselves to the ground to be remade, it's my hope that this story will nurture and inspire life for those who hear it. We are growing a new culture, death by death. There is much light. There are many hands. What seed could death plant in the soil of your life for you, your people, and the earth?